Good evening, fellas. How's it going, Rich? Hey, Heath. How is everybody doing this evening? What's up, guys? Waiting for my end to catch up here so I can see what's going on. I guess we can angle this up a little bit more, huh? That's a little better. Come on, just refresh and work here. That's all I need you to do. So how are you guys this evening, huh? I was really surprised about my my DNA results, guys. Backwoods Barbarian, how you doing? Dude, that was an awesome stream earlier, man. Great job on that. I really like your little studio setup you got going on now. I gotta lose my jacket already. So hey guys, remember as you're coming in, smash that like button, share this out, get some people in here, get your friends in. Hey Tom Ritter, how you doing, brother? 100% French Canadian. Hey Jeff Jackson, hey Judith and Dan Davis, how's everybody doing tonight, guys? Good to see everybody. Get some fire going. It's a little cold out here tonight. How are you doing, Rich? There it goes. All right. Raymond Williams, good to see you. How are you doing, Ray? Gunslinger Outdoors. It's been a while. How are you doing this evening? Oh, so I bet you guys are almost as anxious as I was. I just got them the other day too. I've had my results for 2 days. Before, I think 2 days, 2 or 3 days before we're doing this. So I haven't had a whole lot of time to really look into like where the different cultures and things of my background or like my ancestry. So there's still like the learning part of the journey, but I did say that I was going to bring you guys with me along on this, and this is a step in that journey. So yeah. Living the dream? Aren't we all living the dream? I would hope we're all living the dream. Or at least our version of the dream, you know? Oh, man. So, let me see. The only thing that sucks, technically we're all half centaur. 100% badass. The only thing that I wish I could do different was that I had a way to be able to share my screen with you guys. Because like then I could actually show you what the screen is showing me, you know? But I don't have the capability to do that with my laptop. Whenever I try to run my streaming software through this laptop, it freezes and chokes up and it hates it. So after this stream, I will have the pictures of my results and stuff up on my social media pages. I just haven't put them out there yet because I wanted to save it for this, you know? So I am loading up a dab rig real quick, and then we'll get into this. Great moderating. That was a really good stream, man. That was a good job. Man, can you guys hear this thing taking off? All right, so okay, there's a gap in between my chimney and where it connects into the chimney that goes up behind the garage, and I can see flames shooting into the chimney, and I've got probably a 6-foot stack on this thing, 7-foot stack on this thing. Oh, my chimney pipe is actually glowing red. Can I show you guys this? I don't know if it'll do it any justice. I can see it changing color. Hold on. I gotta unplug that light, and that's too much work. All right, we're not gonna get into the chimney right now. You guys can hear this thing? It is a rocket stove. No, the only baffle I'm gonna have on this when it's done is in the door itself, and I still have to connect the door. I haven't been out here enough to mess with it lately. All right, so let me pull up my insights page here, and we will talk about my Ancestry DNA. Now, I did bring this up to my mom, and I was talking to her a little bit. No, this is all cinder block. This is solid block wall, guys. There's no insulation blown into this or anything. Even where the chimney goes out, that's all block wall. Hi, Mo. How are you doing this evening? Sounds like a turbine engine. It does, doesn't it? It's because I don't have a drafter and I don't have the door on here yet, guys, so it just takes off and it burns like a rocket stove. So that's what it is. All right, so we all want to know what my Ancestry DNA is. I was really excited to find this stuff out. I did speak with my mom about this a little bit because I needed some of her input. So what I'll do is I'll share my results with you guys, and then I'm going to share my best guesstimate on where certain things in my bloodline have come from. Okay? Doing fabulous. That's awesome. Okay, so now these again, guys, even if you ever do one of these Ancestry DNA tests, Ancestry is very clear that these tests are not 100%, and they can't be. These are their best estimates judging on how different characteristics in your DNA look compared to the characteristics of the DNA taken from the peoples who have generations upon generations that they can prove have lived in these areas, okay? So that's how this all works. Hi, Jess. How are you doing this evening? So, Ancestry DNA, they're very clear. Like, this isn't 100% accurate. There's things that they could miss. There's things that they could have accidentally left out. There's things that could have been, that's the other thing. And DNA is not for sure to be passed on. So, hey, Caribou. Good to see you, brother. So DNA is just like your genetics. It's all passed on as random, at random. Our looks are passed on from our parents at random. Our DNA is passed on from our parents at random. Okay, so keep all that in mind. While this does give me a really good idea of my DNA heritage, there is the possibility that things have been overlooked. There's things that could have just not been passed on to me from previous generations. Mud Tramp, hi Rebecca, hi Cece. How's everybody doing this evening, guys? Wow, we got 17 people in here. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up, guys. All right, so with all of that in mind, here are my Ancestry, DNA, ethnicity estimate results. Okay? I am 41% England and Northwestern Europe, 22% Scotland, 15% Ireland, 15% Sweden, 4% Germanic Europe, and 3% Baltic. And then they break that down into you get a timeline as to when people started migrating and when people started coming over. Hey, Tristan, Zach's 100% chalk. What the hell? So are you Ethiopian or not? Half Squatch. I'm like Squatch's gimp half-size cousin. Oh, but they break that down into a timeline. And so then after my ancestors would have crossed the ocean and come over here, pretty much everybody in my family has stayed in the Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia areas, mining coal, building railroads, building, some of my ancestors were a big part of building Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania's infrastructure, I found out. 51% Squatch. This is all phony. He's 99% Canada. No! Okay, so Mo, did I find any connections to families that I didn't know? I have not dug into it a whole lot yet, because when I found a couple of my cousins that I know are my cousins on here, but when I started finding that information is when I called my mom and I'm like, hey, I need to bring this out and we need to sit down and go through this because there's a lot of information that I didn't know here that you didn't know, and there's people here that I don't know that I know she's going to. So mom is going to help me break everything down as far as finding people in the family and relatives on her side that she can. When it comes to my dad's side, my dad was adopted. And my dad was adopted from Pennsylvania, so there's not a whole lot that we know about him. And he'll have access to that information once his mom passes away. I will never see that information, to the best of my knowledge. So, now, it was brought up when we were talking about this in the first stream that I should have Native American DNA, and it doesn't show up in my DNA test. We think the reason for that is it big for 45 minutes or what? I'm not sure, man. I haven't heard from her yet. Talking about bacon. Give me a second here, guys. Oh, Mo, your dad was adopted too? See, my dad was adopted and I don't have any affiliation with him. So even my last name, the only reason that I'm a Lazier is because my brother's dad signed my birth certificate. behind my mom's back. So we need another piece of wood in here. Zacantines. Wait, what? Zacahantes? It's official. Oh man. Okay, so here's what I found out. Here's my best guesstimate, guys. Now, on paper, we have been able to trace my mom's family all the way back to Germany. Before World War II. So we do know that somebody, mom has better ideas of exactly which grandparents it was. So from mom's side, we're going to gather that that's where the see, the area on the map where Scotland and Ireland overlap is where my DNA from that region is kind of linked up with. To my understanding of the map anyways. This is another thing I wish I could show you guys, because maybe you could help me understand it a little bit better, you know? Burning good cribbing over there. No, these are just little short pieces of some junk pine 4x4s. It's all loaded up with nails and screws. That's why I wanted to burn them in here instead of in a fire pit outside. Part German as well. Okay, so from my mom's side, we do know that the German comes from her side. The Swedish comes from her side. Now, I'm going to guess that I am more of a Scots-Irish mix than I am more Irish. I don't know. It just, the way that the maps overlap, that's just kind of how it makes more sense to me. But we do know that there's a little bit of Scottish and a little bit of Irish from mom's side. With the 3% Baltic, judging on my dad's facial features, now I don't have the Baltic facial features. I have the German facial features, the big nose, the big forehead. And I'm not even trying to make a joke, guys. I've got like a 5 head. It's not even a 4 head, okay? And it's been like this since I was 14 years old. So, and you can see my nose from a mile away. It's huge and it's okay. It's just my facial features. I have German facial features. But my biological father had... How's it going, Hiking Deep? Oh, RH negative or RH positive? I have no idea, Mo, to be honest. I know that I am I'm O negative. I'm a universal donor, but I can only get that blood type back. I'm O negative. I do know that. But RH positive and negative, I have no idea. It's actually probably in my medical records, because I know that I've had to be tested for that at some point because of all my spinal issues and shit. They're going to just... It's something in your blood. They're going to want to have known it. All the sexy people here. Well, Hiking, hey, I'm not a French. There's no French in me. There's no Canadian. So the way that this works out, and the way that I understand it, and the way that the timeline in history kind of works out, and the age of my biological father, I think okay, Mo, then you'd be right there, because I do know I have the rarest blood type. Me and my uncle are the only two people in the family who have it somehow. See, learn something every day. This is why I love you guys. We all teach each other shit all day long. Okay, so the way that the timeline works out, and from my best guesstimate, I think that I got the Baltic and this England and Northwestern Europe mix with a little bit more of the Irish from my biological father. Because about the time that they would have come over would have been, I believe, his... This chat's 3% smaller. What the hell? Unicorns? So the way it works out, I think that Russell's parents, it would have been Russell's grandparents would have been the immigrants to come over here from either Europe or Ireland. It would have been one of the two. And I think that they were like a Europe-Irish-Baltic mix, because of the way that my biological father's built, his facial features, just his physical characteristics kind of match the descriptions of how the... Hi, Courtney! How are you doing this evening? We got 20 people in here tonight, guys. That's awesome. We're getting some really good chats going on lately. 21? Smash that thumbs up, everybody. So I think that the generation on my father's side, my biological father's side, they would have been the Irish that came over and were like shunned and really highly discriminated against. So it kind of makes sense that if that DNA, see, this is I presented all this to Mom, and now she's talking about getting one of these done too. We are all fabulous. So I could actually be French Canadian if they managed to leave some of it out, possibly. But I did find out in a little bit of my research that the Baltics, there was a big part of the Baltic culture that was actually known for fur trading. So that's kind of where that could come from. Now, I did start looking into a little bit of stuff on this map, and the majority of my DNA, now, while this big 41% comes from England and Northwestern Europe, the other 59% is Scotland, Ireland, Sweden, Germanic Europe, and the Baltics. So a lot of my ancestral DNA still goes back to Scotland and Ireland. You had farmers that had really deep connections with their land and folklore. And then you move into Sweden, and I don't have the, let me pull this up. Now, I don't have the parts of Sweden where Norway is covered. My DNA comes from like Denmark, Sweden, and the farther west coast of Finland. Those areas still had, now I can't find, let me see here. I think it was on the name of this page. Those ones were called the Varangian Vikings. So I do have the Varangian Viking DNA, and they were, I mean, the Vikings were the Vikings, so they kind of had that deep connection to the land. Oh, we're doing good, Courtney. Working on a truck? Well, thanks, man. Yeah, and then another part of this was also my Baltic DNA comes from Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and the top of Belarus, and the top of Poland. Now, they were like the Baltic Finn warriors, but archaeologically they were identical to like your Swedish and Denmark Vikings. Zach Squash. Squash. I said Zach Squash. Yeah, Tom, they did invade northern Scotland and England. I did read that a little bit. Now, they also invaded the parts of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. So I could also have that DNA because one of them brought a slave girl back or something, and they bore a child. And that's why there's only 3%. But DNA is passed on totally at random, so there's really no way to tell. Viking origin. Follower of Thor. That's cool, man. Should be able to make good chocolate. I should be able to make the best chocolate using nothing but a Swiss Army knife, right? And then my Germanic Europe, the history of that area goes all the way back to, let me see if I can find the technical name for that. I'm trying to like pull these names up. This is where I guess I could have probably just had all of these things opened in tabs, but then I'd have just been going through all the tabs anyways. Let me see here. Early Germanic tribes. It goes on like. Their estimate says that my DNA goes back to the early Germanic tribes. It's not, to my understanding of this anyways, and I really hope that I'm understanding this map right and the information right, because I don't want to present it wrong. But you know, like I was saying in my first stream, guys, the DNA results really have no bearing on me as a person. They have no bearing on how I live my life or decide to live my life. These results, on the other hand, do give me a better understanding of me. It helps me know why I look outside. Like, I have not been able to really go camping other than out in the backyard since I went out and did the Ranger Taco overnighter. So I'm going through a phase, and it happens to me quite a bit, where I'm looking out the back window and I have an honest aching because I can't be out there. Hi, Tina. 59% of my DNA has origins that have people that have heavy ties, spiritually and culturally, to the land that they lived on. So it kind of helps me understand why I have a yearning to want to be in the woods. It helps me understand a little bit better. Hey, Big Leg. Oh, how you doing tonight, Tina? It helps me understand a little bit of stuff. And that was kind of my whole thing, is I just wanted to have a little bit of understanding. You know, I won't ever really have 100% certain, like, this is what came from Russell and this is what came from Mom, even if Mom goes out and gets one of these DNA tests, because if hers come back and she still has those numbers, well, hey, it could have all... And it would make sense that a big part of my DNA would come from my mom, because I carry a lot of the Sweely traits. Drunken sailor heritage. You missed it. Why did I do this? What made me take the test? Well, Mo, it's a 50-50 most of the time. No, your DNA and your genetics are passed on completely at random. Kentucky Big Cats and Bourbon, good evening. So I did this because I have no ties to my biological father. And I've kind of always just had a curiosity. Guys, there's nothing anybody can ever ask me that's too personal. And I think that I have to be open about everything because of what I'm trying to do with my channel here. So I have to be an open book about things. No, it's not a personal thing. My biological father was adopted. I was adopted. I will never have access to the information to know where his parents came from. Because when he passes away, when his mom passes away, she is passing that information to him. But I have no ties to him. I never will, and the only way I'll ever have that information is on some kind of restriction or some kind of deal, and I won't play that game. He is a very toxic individual, and I'm not trying to just talk shit either. So I had curiosities. I wanted to know. I just wanted to know. I really did. That's all there was to it. But it had been something that was on the back burner. I had no intention yet of seeking this information out. I was going to wait. And my wife bought me the DNA kit for Christmas. So my wife has been instrumental in giving me little pieces of myself. Yeah. Your father was Russian, English, and Comanche. 100% mean drunk. Hiking deep, Grandpa. That's Grandpa, man. German and mean as shit. Grandpa is, well, you understand. I never blame my wife. I thank my wife. Found some of your mother's family in matched DNA? Zach Squatch. I'm just my own race. That's how it's going to be. I'm going to be my own little forest wandering race. Oh, man. But yeah, so I have a lot of research to do now because that's a lot of information. And I did think it was really cool. Like, I'm pretty sure that it was the Baltic's history. When I was reading into that history, they were known for, part of what they did was fur trading. And it was like a big part of their country's industry, because their country was never really like those countries, I guess, at the time were never really established. Like, they remained like little tribes and like outposts, if I was understanding that right. I only really got to glance at some of the information because I got really excited and I didn't want to get too deep into it. I kind of want to present this to people step by step, you know? So the next step for me is going to be breaking into each one of these cultures and seeing, like, you know, what was their way of living? Like, why did they have the connection to the land that they did? When it comes to the English part, or like the Northern Europe, England and Northern Europe, I think that's going to be looking more into like customs, because that was an established country. Like, well, I guess no, because around these they all did kind of grow up together for the most part, but your peeps fought against the Roman Empire. They did. I did read that, Tristan. That was in the Germanic Europe part. And then the Baltics fought the Russians at one time. They fought the Germans at one time. They fought the Vikings at times. But the Baltic Finns were also another type of Viking. They were just called the Baltic Finns. Hey, take care, Hiking Deep. Thanks for hanging out, man. So again, guys, as I start getting more into this, like, what I'll do is I'll research one, and then, you know, maybe we'll do a stream, or I'll do a video and we'll present a little bit of information. Because there's going to be like a lot of folklore information that comes out of Scotland and Ireland. Scotland and Ireland were big on folklore. All right, let me pull you guys back up so I can actually get into this chat. Well, hey man, I'm glad we could be cool. Guys, that is one thing. Like, I was talking about that a little bit today with Steve. Your DNA makes no difference on who you are. Like, people get these results, and what they want to do is, or like they'll supposedly know their heritage, and they'll run with it. Like, oh, I've got German heritage, so automatically think that they're Viking heritage, and that's not exactly how it works. Like, most of your German heritage is barbarian tribes that warred it out with the Roman Empire. Hey, take care, Backwoods. That was a good stream earlier on your side too, man. So they'll like walk around and try to tote that like a badass, and the truth is that if they touch a Scotch Brite pad or a cotton ball, it's going to scratch their fingers. Yeah, Peg, like there's a lot of information and history that go along with it, and there was a lot of that I did learn in school, but it's been so long that I've just forgotten most of it by now. So, and history is a really big, like, when I'm not sitting there trying to learn homestead stuff or like wood shop stuff or brush up on some kind of survival knowledge, I get sucked into searching history things. History is like one of my top subjects that I love getting into. History and space. Maybe a little bit of conspiracy and Bigfoot. So yeah. We'll learn along the way. Hey, Jay and the Sticks. How's it going, man? Oh, did Mark McCarty come in? Hey, Mark. I think that, I think Kentucky Big Cats and Bourbon, I had to scroll up and see your comment there. I think that no matter what, even if you're not adopted, I think that there's a curiosity, like where exactly do my roots come from? 13.5-inch perch. That's awesome. Congrats, man. When you're adopted like us, I think, I do know my mom's side. My mom is my mom. But when it came to my biological father's side, I had absolutely no idea. There was no information because, like, Mom got pregnant and he walked away. So I didn't meet him until I was 17 years old, and then he was adopted from Pennsylvania. And the information, his adoption information, was kept from him until his mother passed away. So I would never have access to that information without stipulations. And those stipulations would be, he would want to know where I live, and he would want to see my kids. And I'm not okay with that because of the things that he put me through, the things he put my mom through. So the only way I'll ever have information on where my DNA comes from was a test like this. So my wife, being as absolutely as amazing as she is, went out and ordered me one of these things for Christmas. So yeah, it was really cool. It's been it was a long wait. It was a long wait. It took like almost 7 weeks after I mailed my DNA sample. You spit in a tube, mail it in. It took like 7 weeks before I got an email that it was in the lab, and then it took like 3 days. And they were like, oh, hey, here's your results. I try not to be an asshole. I try to be as nice as I can, but I'm not afraid to open my mouth. Deegan got in trouble at school today. He got in trouble at school, and then he came home and he said, Daddy, I got in trouble. She is ruthless at marbles, Jefferson. So we're on the way home, and he's like, yeah, Daddy, I got yellow, and I was really upset that I got yellow, and I don't quite understand why. Can't see me being that. Oh, I can be an asshole. I almost didn't stream tonight because I had a really bad day. Like, nothing went right for me from the moment that I dropped Deegan off at school until I came out to the shop to light the fire up. So we get home, and I sit Deegan down in the kitchen on the floor, and I'm like, all right, buddy, what happened that you got yellow today, and why are you upset? Because his teacher will leave a note, but I give him the chance to explain it to me. Like, I want your story before I read the note, because I want to see, one, is he going to tell me the truth? Is he going to tell me the whole story? And I want to know how he feels about what happened before he gets in trouble. I want to understand his feelings first, so that I have kind of an idea of how to handle it, because I get mad real quick, and I yell really loud. So I'm trying to work on my temper a lot lately, and that's how we're doing it. So we sit down on the kitchen floor, and I said, why did you get in trouble today? And he said, well, this little boy kept poking him in the chest, and he told this little boy to stop. So the little boy started pushing him by the shoulder after Deegan turned around. So Deegan went and told the teacher. This was at lunchtime, I guess, standing in the lunch line. So he went and told the lunch teacher. And the lunch teacher put him back in the line and told the little boy to quit. And as soon as she walked away, he started doing it again. And I guess he pushed Deegan into a couple kids. And Deegan said, now, I saw the teacher coming up, but I did what you told me to. And I stood up for myself, and I pushed him against the wall. And I said, okay, well, you're not in trouble with me, dude. Like, you stood up for yourself. That's the entire point. I don't care if you get in trouble. When it's something like that. Now, I don't want him to go out and instigate the fight. I don't want him to be a fighter at all. I don't want him to be a bully. Like, that's not how we're raising him. But I don't want him to have it in his mind that he has to take absolutely anybody's bullshit. So, yeah, he got in trouble today, and he got in trouble for pushing around a little boy, but the little boy was pushing him around first. And then I opened his folder, and I read the note, and his teacher said Deegan had a hard time keeping his hands to himself, but he was instigated. And that's all she said. And I'm like, all right, well, if the teacher says, but he was instigated, then that's, like, Deegan, I feel, was telling me the truth. And he owned it. Like, my kid owns it when he does wrong, and it's awesome because I watch my nephews get in trouble, and they're like, no, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. It was my brother. Free range kids. Oh. Yeah, I mean, I had a proud dad moment. But then I told him, I'm like, look, man, you can't keep, because he does have a consistent behavior with, a consistent thing with getting in trouble once or twice a week in school. And we do expect a little bit more out of him. And the times that he's getting in trouble seem to be for, like slightly bigger issues. Seven-year-old grandson lies about everything. My nephew Holden is like that. Since he hit like 5, he's not been honest. And then my second nephew, Riot, lives up to his name. Everything is Holden's fault or the baby's fault. I like my little wood stove, but I really need to get the door done. Time for ass meat belt. Yeah. He's that's the thing. We discipline our, I was gonna say kid, but we have 2, and we don't discipline the baby now. For now. We discipline our kids. Like when Archer starts reaching the age where he needs to be disciplined, we discipline our kids. My brother does not discipline his children whatsoever. His version of discipline is yell at him from across the room while he's got his face planted in his cell phone. And then if the family says anything to him, to any of his kids, he starts jumping the family shit. Like, they're not your kids, they're my kids, and I'll discipline them how I see fit. And, yeah, it's kind of a sad thing to watch, but what can you do? I'll try to raise my kids the best I can. That's all I can do for them. That is what's wrong with the world, man. What happened was all these parents from the generation before me gave their kids up to their parents. So we've got an entire generation of people raised that's around my age and a little bit younger, that's raised entirely by grandparents or aunts and uncles. They're not raised by their damn parents, so there's no accountability for anything they do wrong. They're not ever held accountable because the grandparents by that time are too old and tired to want to take care of the issue. Or the aunts and uncles are not only raising their own kids, but then they're also raising their nieces and nephews. And it's just, there's a huge lack of accountability today, and it's a sad thing. I mean, we're seeing God, are we seeing the side effects of it? Did you guys hear the garage door? That actually made me jump. We've had like 20-mile-an-hour winds all day. Oh. Super rich old dudes. Hey, take care, Tina. No, they're not expected to do anything. Because the ones that the grandparents raised, they didn't know what chores were. Grandma was at home and Grandpa was at home, so they did all the house chores and all the housework all day while the kid was out screwing around, getting in trouble or failing school. See, hey JV, thanks for stopping in, man. You know, me and my brothers were pretty much allowed to do, we had my mom and we had my stepdad. I had my adopted dad for a little while, which was my brother's dad. So we got to see him every other weekend and on Wednesdays, and we only got to see him when he decided that we were a better idea than hanging out at the bar, or when he didn't have the money to hang out at the bar. That's when he'd come see us. So, but our stepdad, except for the abusive aspect, was, I mean, I feel that he did his best to raise us to come up as men that he could. That's my stepdad is where I got most of the skills that I know, from woodworking to fixing my own shit and figuring out how to fix my own shit. My problem solving skills come from my stepdad. We were allowed to do what we wanted to do when we wanted to do it. Our stipulation was be home before the streetlights came on. And then when I got the four-wheeler, it was really it wasn't even come home when the streetlights came on. It was just make sure the cops don't impound the four-wheeler and be safe. Because when I was that age, I wasn't out running around town. I was out running around the swamps and running around the woods on my little Suzuki LT80 that I had a milk crate strapped to the front of the handlebars, and I had my traps and all my stakes and a hammer thrown in there, and I had a bucket strapped to the little back wheelie bar. Hey Gunslinger, take care, man. Thanks for stopping in. It's been a while. Appreciate you coming in, man. So, I mean, that's what I did as a kid. I ran all over the place, but I wasn't out running around town getting in trouble. I was out running around the woods. But I was probably the only 14 and 15-year-old that I knew that was running around the woods with a 22 strapped to his four-wheeler from dawn to dusk. Trapping on the train tracks. And then when it wasn't the Suzuki LT80, it was that the Blaster. Blaster was a lot of fun. I could dump the clutch on that bike and I'd stay right where I was at. It'd take off. The only thing that we we wish we could get better with Deegan is that we could get his. We wish Deegan had a little bit better of a drive. When he starts to have a hard time with the task, he gives up. Or wants to give up. I mean, dude, it's just at the snap of a fingers too. He'll get frustrated with something and just drop it and walk away. And I'm trying to work with him more and more now. Like, no, don't just walk away. We need to sit down and figure this out. You know, get the problem taken care of. He's a lot like I was when I was younger, because I had no tolerance for failure when I was a kid. If things started to go wrong, I'd give up on him and walked away. I had no tolerance for failure. Or no, I guess that's a better way to put it, Jefferson. I had no patience for failure. Patience for failure works, yeah. That's how that should be said, not a tolerance. I had no patience for failure. I had no tolerance for my half-ass adopted dad. That's what it was. I had no tolerance for him. Oh. All right. Well, we have been at this for an hour. So, that's my DNA results, guys. 41% England and Northwestern Europe, 22% Scotland, 15% Ireland, 15% Sweden, 4% Germanic Europe, 3% Baltic. And then after they immigrated to the United States, they became nothing but coal miners, coal crackers is what I'm finding. I'm not even making a joke. I'm going to have to get screenshots of these things and show them to you guys. I'm going to guess that there was a difference between coal miners and coal crackers. Because most of my family is coming up as coal crackers, railroad workers, and I guess the Irish, when they came over, had a big part of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania's infrastructure. 3% balding. I'm not balding. I just got a big ass forehead, bro. There's no patches missing out of this mohawk. This thing is fantastic, just fantastic. Coal crackers are the white people type. I'm serious. I'm gonna have to get screenshots of this thing, and I'll put them up on my social media pages, Steve. It's actually saying they were coal crackers, and let me see. Under the North Central Appalachia settlers, farther down here it said coal crackers. Okay? Coal crackers in a tobacco world. So they were coal crackers and tobacco growers. And then down here, Pennsylvania, Eastern Ohio, Northwest Virginia, and Maryland settlers. Those were the ones that had, I think that one actually had coal mining under it. And then those were the ones that had their hand in Pittsburgh's infrastructure and roadways and the railroad. Oh, no shit. See, when, like, coal cracker bush, that's why I was kind of hesitant to say it. I'm like, that can't be right, because coal cracker bushcraft, like, that's just his thing. Like, maybe his family was coal miners, and no, it's actually, okay, I get it. You know why it's a 5-head? VO5 hot oil. What are you talking about? You got me so confused now, Caribou. Steve just lurking in the background. That's okay. No, I was a little bit, because, yeah, I was, like, coal cracker bushcraft. I didn't really want to, like, I try to be careful about things. I like his channel. Anyways. So part of them came over and was coal crackers, and some of them came over and was, like, miners and railroaders and tobacco growers and... Five fingers to the hairline. It is. I got a five head, guys. From my unibrow to the peak on my forehead is 5. Oh. That's funny. You guys are awesome. We do have fun here. I like my little community. Our little community. Alright, I am going to go ahead and shut this down and go in and spend the evening with my wife. Oh, Mo, you guys can't see it on the stream, but I do have a pretty, and I usually like pluck the center out, but I have a pretty bad unibrow. It's okay, I own it. It's fine. It's a German, I think. Oh, I am going to go ahead and shut this down though, guys. I really appreciate everybody coming and hanging out. So what I'm going to do from here on out is I'm going to figure out a way that I can do the screen share. Okay? Always pet the wife and hug the dog. I'm going to figure out how I can do a screen share, and then as I start researching this stuff and figuring it out, we're going to pick each culture, or like each ethnicity, that's how they're said, ethnicity, and then we'll start looking into like a little bit of their history and how my DNA ties into it and things like that. And then I presented this idea to Sarah earlier. I think what I'm going to do, kind of like for a finale of this thing, is at the end I'm going to put a pack together of gear. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to put a pack together of gear that comes out of like each, like inspired by each area. Like, because the Irish are going to carry something, well, the Irish and the Scottish are going to carry fairly similar gear. And like the German, you know what I mean. I want to put a pack together inspired by each region. And then we'll go out and do like an overnighter or a camping trip with each one of those packs. And we'll do that as like a finale for this little series. So, that's what we're going to do. Thanks to everybody for coming and hanging out. I really appreciate you guys. I'm going to try to share this information with you guys as accurately as I can. And yeah, like I said, we'll figure out the whole screen share thing. See you guys all in the next one. Thanks for hanging out.